Hello everyone, Syrian Girl here. It is common knowledge that Libyan fighters who fought Gaddafi have been sent into Syria by NATO to fight the Syrian army, and this has been admitted in the mainstream media many months ago. However, there's been a recent influx into Aleppo of these fighters, and in fact, CNN themselves have admitted this in the last few days. You can tell that these fighters are Libyan because they're still wearing the desert fatigues provided for them by the US military. And you can also notice that they employ a similar logo to the one that they used in Libya, except it is now having the flag of the French Mandate of Syria while it was under French occupation, which is supposed to be the new flag of Syria as chosen by George Soros. And one can't help but notice how Luciferian this logo appears to be. And there's been a marketed shift in the Western media. They're becoming more and more brazen in their attitude to what's going on in Syria. It's no longer even showing a semblance of being a grassroots uprising. Now they're just blatantly admitting, as if there's nothing wrong with it, that Libyan mercenaries are being sent into Syria. And I do say mercenaries and not rebels, because they are not fighting in their own country. They are being paid a wage to fight in another country for NATO's agenda. And they're being paid wages by Qatar, and that has been admitted. And coordinating Libyans into Syria is US mercenary Matthew Van Dyke. And he fought with the Al-Qaeda affiliated Libyan insurgents, the LIFG, and he's also been in Iraq and Afghanistan. And, if you recall, 10 years ago, another American, John Walter Lynn, was captured in Afghanistan and dubbed the American Al-Qaeda and sent to Guantanamo Bay. But these days, that's not what happens to Americans fighting alongside Al-Qaeda. Instead, they're celebrated as freedom fighters. Recently, this Matthew Van Dyke character has set up a Kickstarter in which he is asking for donations to produce a documentary in Syria, which he intends to be, in his own words, in the style of the Connie 2012 documentary propaganda stunt. And if we recall, Connie 2012 was about warmongering, money grabbing, and brainwashing. The doco aims to promote war in Syria just as Connie 2012 aimed to promote war in Uganda. And on his Kickstarter, it is titled, "This is your chance to take part in the Arab Spring," as if it's tremendously fashionable to take part in destabilizing nations by foreign powers, and that everybody just really wants to be a part of it. But on his Twitter, he directly states that funding will go into sending Libyan fighters into Syria. Want to help the Arab Spring? Donate to send 2 Libyan fighters to Syria. So the message is, hey kids, ever wanted to fund Al-Qaeda and mercenary death squads into someone else's country? Imagine if the Kickstarter was about sending Al-Qaeda terrorists into the US instead of Syria. The nerve of these people is incredible, to think that such a thing is now commonplace. And there's no longer really a grassroots uprising in Syria. There's no trace of such a thing to exist, if it ever existed in the first place. It is blatantly an imperialist war against Syria, and it's an extremely dirty war at that.